some of the most pressing issues of our time. My name is Dr. Krunal Patel, Associate Professor and one of the coordinator of this conference. Welcome you once again. Today, we are privileged to present research sessions, each focusing on distinct yet crucial aspects that shape our world today. These sessions are thoughtfully planned to provoke discussion and encourage collaborations among all of us who are passionate about this conference. Throughout these proceedings, we encourage you to engage actively, ask questions, and participate in the discussions that follow these sessions. Your insights are valuable as we collectively strive to advance our understanding and contribute to the broader discourse. So, without further ado, let us start with the first session on big data for business, issues and challenges. Today, we embark on a journey into a big data and its profound implications for business worldwide. Big data has revolutionized the way organizations operate, offering unprecedented insights into customer behavior, market trends, and operational efficiencies. Yet, with this promise comes a myriad challenges that must be navigated effectively to harness its full potential. In this sessions, we are privileged to have Dr. Smruti Balsari ma'am. We welcome you, and to formally introduce her, may I request Ms. Bhumi Patel, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I, Bhumi Patel, Assistant Professor of Tarsadia University. Here I take an opportunity to introduce Dr. Smruti Balsari ma'am. Dr. Smruti Balsari is recognized as a UK Data Service Certified SIF researcher, renowned for her broad expertise in teaching, research, and data analytics covering various disciplines. She holds 3 master's degrees, an MBA and MA in economics from VNSU, and MS in data science from University of Essex, London, along with her PhD in economics. Her academic achievements includes mentoring doctoral research in economics and HR, earning awards such as Academic Excellence Scholarship at University of Essex for an MS in data science, and securing All India first rank in her BCom. Her academic pursuits span the UK economy, social sciences, gender studies, and Indian economy's human development aspects. With proficiency in quantitative techniques such as statistical analysis, multivariate statistics, and big data analytics, she leverages tools like MS Excel, SPSS, R, and Python for rigorous research. And this all led to her invitation for the special lectures under the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India's Indian Technical and Economic Cooperation Program for a decade. Dr. Smruti has conducted workshops and delivered lectures on quantitative techniques using above-said software. As a respected resource person at Mumbai School of Economics and Public Policy, she has led sessions on logistic regression and non-parametric statistics. Dr. Smruti's consultancy work encloses economics and social science, advising on data analysis methodologies and automation solutions, including developing performance appraisal software for a prominent German company. So, उनका अटूट समर्पण और परिवर्तनकारी प्रभाव एक ऐसे भविष्य को आकार देने के लिए प्रेरणा देता रहता है, जहां पे अनुसंधान, शिक्षा और सामाजिक प्रगति एक दुनिया के लिए आपस में जुड़ी हुई है. So, please, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together with me to welcome Dr. Smruti Balsari.
Before she take over with the presentation, may I request Dr. Kiran Pandya sir to welcome her with our university song, please. Thank you. Now we are please with your
seconds. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much, Bhumi, for such a generous introduction. Honestly, I never reflected back on what all I have done so far, and it really sounded impressive to me as well. But I would like to tell everyone that just don't just forget whatever Bhumi has said. I'm just one among you. My only introduction I would prefer is I'm a student of film Punjab. So yes, today I'm going to talk about big data for business, big data in general, and specifically issues and challenges. We have heard a lot about AI in the first session from Professor Parimal Vyas, and the force that drives AI is actually the big data. So big data is the engine for artificial intelligence. Um, so what basically big data is? And I mean, my plan for today's presentation or today's talk is I would first of all explain to you what big data means, what are the sources of big data, what are the applications, and specifically Professor Kiran Pandya and I, one of our articles is recently published in an edited book on emerging trends in Industry 5.0. So we are going to discuss two case studies on the basis of that. Few things I have not put on slide for, I mean, for the reasons that I cannot officially put them on slides without my university's permission, but I would like to share with you, so I would do that informally without showing it over here. And that would lead us to the questions on what are the issues and challenges. You will in fact, by the time you see this sources of big data and the characteristics of big data, you will start understanding what are the issues and challenges. We'll summarize the issues and challenges and then we'll move on to solutions. If there are issues, solutions are going to be there. So we'll discuss the solutions, we'll focus more on the solutions rather than focusing on issues. So what are the characteristics of big data? 5 V's. This is how big data is technically characterized by volume, value, variety, velocity, veracity. So what is meant by volume? Volume in terms of the quantity. Big data is really, really big. So when it says petabytes and zettabytes, we have heard only up to gigabytes, terabytes, and beyond terabytes are petabytes and zettabytes of data. So the first challenge might have come to your mind that if these are petabytes and zettabytes of data, how are we going to work on the laptop? Challenge number 1. Second is value. It gives valuable insights. Again, I would refer to Professor Parimal Vyas's talk about insights he mentioned in the area of consumerism, marketing. He was very against, I think, marketing and the no, not specifically. I mean, HR yes, but the conventional terminologies. What I meant to say was conventional terminologies. But yeah, I am not. Who's there? I'm not from management background, so I might not be using the right management terminologies. जिनको पता है, please don't say anything. Okay, so yes, it does give, my point over here is it does give a lot of insights into whatever you are exploring. Variety, the data comes in a variety of formats, and that is another challenge. It comes in the form of numbers, text, pictures, video, audio, emojis, animated GIFs, and just imagine your imagination is the source of data. So that is another challenge, how to deal with it. And of course, yeah, numbers is the first thing that I mentioned. Numbers are my love and I work with numbers. So numbers are the least problematic things. When we were kids, we perhaps, how many of us hated maths? A lot of us. Even I hated maths when I was small. But after looking into different forms of data, I think maths is the simplest. Coming to velocity. Velocity is the speed divided by distance. Yeah, but here we are not talking about the physics velocity, we are talking about the rate at which data is being received or data is being generated. And now when it comes to velocity, I would come up with some examples. Mic is not functioning properly, but anyway, you can hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's great. So, when it comes to velocity and when I'll come up with examples, you will think, this looks like big data, but there is no velocity to it. So let me make it clear that velocity here, in context of big data, is a relative term. Okay, so velocity in context of big data is a relative term, and it is the rate at which the data is generated. So if it is, you are looking at the data of CCTV camera, every nanosecond the data is generated. But if you talk about the biometric attendance that you do when you come to the office, the data is generated every day. One in the morning, one in the evening. But that is the velocity of the data, daily data at the interval of nanoseconds, and sometimes it could even be monthly data, sometimes it could be one of the data that I am working on is periodic, it is quarterly. But still, when it is over a period of time, so when it is over a period of time, it is still the velocity of the data. Okay. Veracity is associated with reliability and accuracy of the data that you are collecting. Now that we will focus more on it, and I am more comfortable that mic is not working, I can walk. Coming to the sources, social media, tweets, comments, likes, other emotions, emojis. Think of anything, even WhatsApp messages, your WhatsApp status, your Facebook status, your LinkedIn posts, and think of anything in social media. There are now you have threads and needles and whatever. Coming to the business, because that is what our focus is, and today's conference is on contemporary issues in business and management. So when it comes to business, it is the internal record of the organization. It could be customer purchase summary or CCTV footage camera, which the CCTV camera footage which I already mentioned. It could be the bills, it could be the employees in the organization. It could be anything that is associated with organization's internal records. It could be about the salary, it could be about promotions. Again, I'm talking marketing and HR, but excuse me, I don't know anything about that. And this is what I'm more comfortable with, because I work largely with published data. And when it comes to Government of India, These are huge, huge resources of big data. Government of India portal has hello. Okay, now it works. Yeah. Thanks. So, Government of India data repository, it was really very good even in earlier days, but it has now become even better. There is more amount of data available in digital format, and data of all sorts of all I have not listed over here. These are only selected, which I understood. There is something on animal husbandry as well, which perhaps I have not listed. So that comes in a lot more. And Government of India even has data sets for AI. Now, if I go into one of the examples of this data, which I understand better, and again referring to the theme of the conference, that it is contemporary issues in business and management. When it comes to management, administration is an integral component, and government is one of the organizations where administration takes place at a very large scale. Policies are framed at national level, state level, district level, and so on. So that is why, one being my comfort zone, and second associated with administration, so I thought of focusing slightly more on this aspect. So this is the interface of data.gov.in. So this is what appears on the home page. You have data on economy, education, environment, health, information and communication, labor, employment, science and technology, and then it comes to view more. Now that it is my laptop, and again my comfort zone, I can show you online. And then you tell me where you want to navigate. So this is the data of Government of India, data.gov.in. And okay, this is the interface I showed you on the PowerPoint. Now do you want to view more? Okay. So if you click view more, now here it is. You can scroll, keep scrolling. You have a health and family welfare. Here you only have infographics, here you only have blogs. But mind it, infographics are also data. We might have studied in our traditional education that infographics are outputs. They are outputs of some data, but data to some other things. So infographics are also data. This has 19 blogs. We don't bother about the APIs because they are application interfaces. It is bit technical and we need to pay for it. And then these are visualizations. You have things in education, transport, finance. See, this is what I was mentioning in animal husbandry, and I found it very, very interesting, but I could not understand anything. Yeah, so there are pages and pages which you can go on and download whatever data, forget about Excel sheets. Excel sheets is just one format, but you can get anything and everything about one particular sector if you are interested in transport, if you are interested in finance or anything. So this is one thing I wanted to introduce in terms of administration. If you are interested in government sector, this is a rich resource. But we have to focus on issues and challenges. APIs are paid. You need money for that. Secondly, downloading this is pretty simple. But once you download, how are you going to use it? For example, you decided to download blogs. So that becomes text data. How are you going to store text data? How many blogs are you going to store? In what format will you store text data? How will you access text data? These are all challenges. But we have solutions. Okay, so this example I thought of road accidents in India, and I focused again on Excel sheets. There are still 60 Excel sheets over here. If you are interested in Excel sheets only, there are 60 Excel sheets over here. Okay. So not going more into this government data, okay, so this is one example of the Excel sheet that I downloaded from in terms of excellence. Ranging from 1970, you've got the data. This is yearly data, not necessarily big data, but as I said, there are 60 Excel sheets. You can make it a big data. Others, medical records. Now, as you all know that I'm based in UK, and we have a national health system which is, technically speaking, the same health system all across the country. So it is basically a government health system. There are only government hospitals, there are only government dispensaries, and you can access any of these government dispensaries or any of these health systems all across the country just by giving your identification number. Giving your identification number, they would be able to extract everything. Maybe you might have visited a hospital in London, and they might have stored your record, and the next time you visit a hospital in, say, Leeds, that entire thing would be visible in Leeds. I think ABBA is something that we are coming up with recently, is something really similar to what the NHS system of records is. So another is medical records. Email communications. Email communications is also a rich source of data. You know, on an average, I mean in UK we communicate only over emails. There are no phone calls. There is no culture of making phone calls. So if I'm collaborating with Ashish Bhai, I would only communicate with Ashish Bhai over emails. I would never ever call him. Even if I would have his phone number, I would never call him. That is the culture over there. So imagine the extent of email communications we have. Sometimes in an hour, in 1 hour, we exchange as many as 25 emails. So maybe in our country, in our culture, this might not be so relevant about email communications, but even customer grievances, drop in an email. And they would respond. Maybe in 5 working days, maybe in 7 working days, whatever, in 10 working days, but they would respond. Because there is an email, there will be a response. And I would like to share one very positive experience with Government of India. I was in UK, I was using my UK email ID, and I needed to access some data of Government of India. So I used my UK email address to write to Government of India that I want to access this particular data and I want to use this data for this particular purpose. Unlike my previous experiences, this time it took a month, but they responded, and they responded in detail. That what is the extent to which I would be able to use this data and how much information I should be sharing publicly and what I should not be sharing publicly. Yeah. So emails, we are gradually moving on to emails. Emails is a huge source of data. But again, if we talk in terms of Indian context, phone calls, call recordings are equally rich source of data. Whenever an accident takes place or if there is some crime suspect, these phone calls are the sources of big data that are being used to decipher the source of maybe crime or distinguish or to decide whether it was a crime or an accident. Google search logs. A lot of things Professor Vyas mentioned which I wanted to, and again I am referring his lecture that you might be using your device to search something, and next day on some other app an ad pops up. He mentioned about somebody else using your device. That's a different story altogether. But once I was having some issue with my boiler and I was not getting hot water. I just wanted to know what could be the possible issues with boiler. My boiler issue got sorted a month ago. I am still getting advertisements from buy this boiler, buy that boiler. So whatever you search on Google, and if you are logged into your browser as whosoever you are at gmail.com, and you have the same thing configured on your Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, everything is linked. So this is a part of Internet of Things. Mobile phone apps. Again, what apps are there on your mobile itself is a data. Your data which is being fed on those apps are also data, and whatever you do with those apps, that also generates data. So sources are as far as your imagination goes. And Internet of Things, I mentioned right in the beginning, any device that you pick up, if it is connected to Internet, your Fitbit watch or your iWatch or Google Watch or one very interesting study that I had come across. I currently work in the area of dementia strategies and inequalities in dementia diagnosis. So one of the interesting studies that I had come across, they developed some wearables like socks. They had implanted a chip in the socks, and people with dementia were asked to wear those socks. Similarly, people with dementia, there were shirts developed for people living with dementia. So during the night time, so it was a kind of night suit. So the shirt would contain a chip, and it would continuously keep on recording the neurological signals that is being generated by the body. Internet of Things. So these are the big sources of big data. Coming to applications. Conventional, traditional, finance, marketing, human resources. Don't know anything beyond that. Stock market trends. Many of you from finance background might be using stock market data since even the concept of big data came into existence. But depends on how much data you are analyzing. From when until when, whether it is daily or whether it is intraday or whatever, it may or may not classify as big data depending upon the quantity, the volume. Volume aspects becomes important over here. Boolean market trends, business financial stability, loans turnover, etc. Coming again to market sentiments, sentiment analysis, Professor Vyas mentioned in the morning. Sentiment analysis is again a big trending thing these days, not only in marketing, but it has more applications in political science. It has more applications in whenever there are elections, it is being used. So earlier we only had this opinion polls, then we had exit polls, and now we are doing sentiment analysis to speculate what government would come into power. Technology absorption also he mentioned in the morning. So the extent to which the technology is driving the market, the needs are being created and all these things that he mentioned, I completely agree with him so far as technology absorption part is concerned and product demand is concerned. So all this is based on what did you search yesterday on your phone? What apps did you use? What you are interested in? What channels do you watch on YouTube? That will also help in generating, what product will be sold to you. You might be interested in. And then of course the current trends of the market. Human resources, shortlisting for recruitment, I have got a case study on this. LinkedIn today, how many have tried, a question nahi pucho joiye ahiya, but how many of you have tried, Rajiv Ramangani, putting your status as, I am interested in a job. Okay, forget it, don't answer, I don't even expect. How many of you have tried putting your status as I am hiring? I've seen yours, yes. Your current status is I am hiring, I think. Yeah. Not at the moment, but very recently I saw it, yeah. So whenever your status is I am hiring, you are more likely to get more applications, a lot more applications from which you can choose, as compared to just putting a post on LinkedIn saying that we are hiring. Similarly, if you put your status as I am looking for another job, that's not the exact terminology, but open to work, yeah. Open to work is the terminology. So if you put your status as open to work, you are more likely to get interview calls, or you are more likely to get approaches from the recruitment agencies as compared to just putting the status online or writing to HR departments, and in that way, what he said in the morning is that HR role is getting extinct. Some parts are getting revamped, I would put it that way. Employee engagement, I have come across a very interesting case study on employee engagement, big data for employee engagement, and then of course attrition and retention. These are the three aspects on which Professor Pandya and I have written an article and it is published. And this is the reference to it. So this is a normal belief that if you recruit experienced people, the productivity would be higher and they would be more loyal to the organization. Now this is a case study about Johnson & Johnson, where details of 40,000 employees were collected over a period of time, which revealed that there is practically no difference in productivity when it comes to freshers or experienced people. This is what data revealed. Secondly, so they were kind of recruiting more experienced people, as a result of which the proportion of graduate employees, the graduate people who have just passed out of the whatever engineering schools or business schools or whatever, that had gone down significantly. I don't remember the percentage exactly, but yeah. So now they saw that there is no statistical difference, no significant difference in contribution to in terms of productivity when you employ experienced people or you employ freshers. But they also found that freshers are more loyal, more likely to stay in the organization as compared to experienced people. And that is why they changed their company policy. And after they changed their company policy, the recruitment of freshers, and why are freshers preferred? Low cost to the company. So they increased the recruitment to freshers. The recruitment increased by 20%, productivity remained the same. And the cost of company went down. Employee engagement. This is about Clarks, which is a British shoe manufacturing company. Employee engagement was already very high, but they were not satisfied, want to do something better. So what they did was, they collected the data on 30,000 employees across 1,400 stores on their engagement, on what results in engagement, what results in distraction or not being engaged or not being engaged enough. So the big data insights revealed that there is an ideal team size, and I could relate this very much with economics when we talk about the economics of scale. That there is an ideal team size. If there are more people, then also there are bound to be, and in economics we say the production will go down. If there are less, then also the production will go down. There is an optimal point of the factor inputs at which the production would be the highest, or the cost is lowest. I'm not taught economics in ages again, but yeah, both of you can correct me. So here also they came up with an ideal team size which leads to optimal employee engagement, beyond which higher engagement is not possible, and below which the engagement would be lower. So continuing with government sources of big data and its use. These days, spatial temporal analysis is picking up a lot. There is an increased awareness. Thank you. There is an increased awareness that there are geographical inequalities in everything. And in order to capture geographical inequalities and how the inequalities change across geography over time, spatiotemporal analysis is undertaken. And this is done for a lot of things like employment, unemployment, balance of payment. I would not say spatiotemporal, but balance of payment would be temporal largely rather than spatiotemporal. But economic growth, public health, infrastructure, everything, there is a component of spatiotemporal analysis that can be undertaken. So our ongoing study, which I am pursuing with Kiran Pandya sir a little bit, Devyani is also involved in that, and that is on employment and unemployment. We are making use of periodic labor force survey, and we are doing a sort of spatial analysis with a temporal change over a period of 1 year, especially the impact of COVID and all that we are studying at the moment. So if we list down the challenges, volume, where to store the data is the challenge. And once you store the data wherever you found the space, retrieving that data is another challenge. Quality is a major challenge. I wanted to put one or two more slides, but I can explain, and as I said that I could not because it's related to my dementia work, which I cannot share here. So we kind of downloaded dementia strategies of all the European countries. Again, we wrote a code to download it. It was not a manual download. We web-scraped the policies and we downloaded all the PDF documents that were dementia strategies. Of course, out of them, then we identified which ones were in English, because none of us understand any other European language than English. So we manually shortlisted that, okay, these ones are in English, these ones are not in English. All the dementia strategies that were in English, we put it in one folder and then wrote a Python code to read it. Now when we read the PDFs, issue number 1, headers and footers were also considered a part of text. Table of contents were considered a part of text. References were considered a part of text. And PDF is a portable document. It is wherever you can access. Across Internet of Things you can access. So it will generate some special characters in between the words. Quality. Structure. Completely unstructured. If you, sometime back with one of his PhD students, we did some Twitter analysis, sentiment analysis from data using data from Twitter. Completely semi-structured, completely unstructured data. Text data with emojis and that too completely unstructured. And sometimes when you see carefully, it is written in English, the script is English, but the data is Gujarati. That is another issue. Issue number 4. You want to use an Excel sheet along with the text document. How would you integrate those data? Or there are text. In these policy documents we came across another issue that we had text all over, but then there were tables in between. How to deal with the tables? Should we keep the tables? Should we remove the tables? Should we convert the tables into Excel sheets? Everything is possible. You can remove the tables summarily. If you have the right type of Python code, you can remove the tables summarily. If you can write the right type of Python code, you can convert those tables, exclusively the tables from the text, into Excel sheets. What to do? How to integrate or disintegrate? I would rather even say disintegrating data is also an issue. How? Cost of infrastructure. Coming back to volume. Where to store the data? Cloud? You have to pay. Servers? You have to pay. But what are clouds? Clouds is a cluster of servers. So anyway, you have to pay. And how much are you willing to pay? How much money have you got to pay? That depends. Cost to access data, API cost. If you are accessing API, Google API, Facebook would made it so difficult these days to access the data. Similarly with LinkedIn. Twitter also now allows only a limited. So, paying for API. And this again, Professor Vyas mentioned, talent, You might have everything that you need. You need people who can work with this type of data. You have to give a lot of time to analyze this data. If it is for your PhD work, rethink twice. And you have such huge amount of data. How to analyze? Or if it is text data, how will you analyze? What do you want to analyze? What are you expecting out of it? And how will you decipher patterns in the text? Finally, security. If these are medical records or if there are government records which are of high security, is there a legal framework to take care of that? Possible solutions. These challenges cannot be addressed in silos. You need an integrated approach, first of all. Cost-benefit analysis and cost-effectiveness analysis to use the infrastructure or to access the data or to use the data for whatever analysis that you are doing, how much you are paying for it and what benefit you are going to get at the end of it, then decide whether you want to go for big data analysis or not. Otherwise, not everywhere big data analysis is required. Planning well in advance, factoring out the time to clean the data. Unstructured data, higher the lesser the structure, more is the dirt in the data. I am running out of time, but if we have time for questions, maybe I would share one very interesting case study. Having a clear data sharing agreement. What data? I really appreciate that email from Government of India. They were very clear about what I can share, what I cannot share. And in UK, we have this GDPR legal framework to what data can be shared, what cannot be shared. So if we are taking data from a business or from any other source, it is very clearly written that you can use only this much part of data, not anything else. Legal framework is required. And imparting training to staff to make use of this data, to analyze this data and then to interpret. So, thank you very much. Thanks to Professor Pandya and his team, Tarsadia University, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you everyone for your patient listening.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your wonderful session. And to felicitate, ma'am, may I request Dr. Krunal Patel, ma'am, to felicitate. Yeah. Let us now turn our attention to a topic that lies at the heart of every successful organization and community: leadership, governance, and development. Leadership is not merely about holding a title, it is all about inspiring others, making tough decisions, and steering organizations towards sustainable growth and positive impact. Coupled with effective governance, it ensures accountability, transparency, and ethical decision making, which are crucial for long term success and trust building. To discuss more on this topic, we have with us Dr. Sunil Bhatt, sir, And to introduce him, may I request Dr. Vijay Gambilia sir, please.
Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce Dr. Sunil Bhatt. Dr. Sunil Bhatt is an influencing leader and a versatile personality. He has more than 30 years of experience in the field of human resource development, corporate affairs, public relations, employee engagement, and general administration. He has recently published his book on PM Shri Narendra Modi titled Transformational Leadership and Governance based on his PhD thesis. This book published in three different languages, that is Hindi, Gujarati, and English. He is currently associated with the GFL India Limited, Dahej. Currently hold a position of Vice President, Regional HR, and Factory Manager. Apart from that, he is also other honorary positions in the different organizations like President at Dahej Industry Association, ex-President Rotary Club of Dahej, Vice President and Chairman HR Forum and Joint Secretary at Bharuch District Management Association, Vice President of Dahej Eco-Friendly Society Dahej, Founder President of Bharat Vikas Parishad Bharuch District, Committee Member of Federation of Industry Association and Gujarat Chamber of Commerce, Council Member of FICCI Club Subcommittee Gujarat. Apart from that, he spent his career in the local community development by putting his efforts in people development, establishing best welfare measures for workers, providing local employment, support to local community, increasing employability in the local youngsters, balancing the benefits of industry, government, and local community. He has been instrumental in Dahej Industry Association during the adverse conditions like water crisis, local crisis, IR issues, NGT issues, and development of many energy response center. So today with us, a views personality in front of us. I request Dr. Sunil Bhatt sir to take the charge of the session. Thank you, sir.
Before he take over the charge, may I request Dr. Kiran Pandya sir to welcome him with a university talk, please. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know I am between your lunch and, but this is probably the last session, and I'll try to make it more refreshing. You may not need a soup for that. The topic is leadership, governance, and development. The background comes out with which started in 2009. I must remember, 2009 when I first met our beloved PM and, erstwhile Chief Minister of Gujarat, Shri Narendra Modi. That time the governance, because in the center the other government was there, so there were a lot of issues of corruption and, lack of administration, lack of policy, we call it policy paralysis kind of thing. And a thought came to my mind that why should I not go for something which is very different. So I was looking for an admission to PhD, but before that, I thought I have been practicing HR since more than 20 years during that time. Now I'm more than 30 years of experience in HR. So what should be there which I can give it back to society? Every researcher, which I understood later on, Dr. Kiran Pandya told me, every researcher will research and give what is value adding to the society. So if I would have done something on recruitment, something on training and development, which I have been doing every day, probably would not have been an interest to me as well as to other people. So the governance topic that time, probably in Gujarat, how to do that, was administered and found by Mr. Modi. But it came to my mind and my life by Dr. Kiran Pandya. He said that Sunil, probably this is the one which is a hot cake and you should work on that. That's how it came. I do not have anything to present except, my speech or my thoughts enriched by Dr. Pandya during all these years. What we call leadership is an ability to influence a group towards achievement of goals. Is it a definition that I can tell you? Another is leader engage with others and creates connection that raises level of motivation and morality in leaders and followers. The first one is more of a normal leader, a common leader who has to do that. The other definition speaks about the transformational leader. There's a difference between transitional leader and transformational leader. Transitional leader, he is like a manager. Okay, he manages the task. And leader, we all know, he leads the group. He manages and leads the managers. Okay, and to transform them is something a different ball altogether. I would also explain you what is governance, because ultimately I have to complete the loop. The governance, it is a process of exercise and authority. This authority is used for managing the economic resources and other admin resources. How to do that? You have to design, formulate and implement policies on the ground. And you have to discharge your functions with these policies. How do you do that? Another thing which is Kautilya said. Kautilya says governance is a dharma, is a duty. In ancient times, this was because kings were ruling that time. Nowadays also, in some countries, still some autocrats are ruling. So they were always told about the dharma. That this is your dharma, this is your duty. It is not your right. You have been given this reign to do some good deeds for people. When it comes to development, we all know that it comes out of a good leadership who controls the governance mechanism. In a leadership, we all know the first quotient. We all know about IQ. You all know, right? IQ, intelligent quotient. After that, what came? EQ. Right? What is the latest quotient? SQ. Before that, one quotient came was PQ. That is called as a political quotient. This political quotient can be administered in three ways and in three segments. One is business, another is government, and third business also, it is for the society also. Now, what are those characteristics of PQ leader? He has to be a trustworthy. He has to be an empathetic leader. Well, obviously when you are a leader, you have a power. But that power has to be used for visioning. You are supposed to have a good vision. you need to have a versatility. You cannot confine to one direction. The most important thing is conviction. And on top of that, any leader in any of the section of the society has to have an accountability. If you do not have an accountability, the corruption starts from there. The person have to be accountable. Probably that is the reason the later actions on some of the political leaders or even government officials have also come and they are behind the bars. That man or women, if you are given a power to exercise for a governance mechanism, you are accountable for it. You cannot escape out of your responsibility. Probably this leadership to governance, if I start in Gujarat,
तुम दोनों डिस्टर्ब करे छे तो अभी खबर नहीं.
yeah. So I have few examples to tell you how this governance mechanism comes out. Vibrant Gujarat, we all know in Gujarat. Okay. Same government, same party government was there in Gujarat, right? BJP was ruling. But it started changing paradigm after 2002 when the first Vibrant Gujarat came out. What was it? It was a showcasing of the potential of Gujarat. That was one, that opportunities are being shown. Then to put the mechanism of governance in place to invite people to be in Gujarat. Okay, that was second thing. And then facilitate them that yes, they progress over here. That was the third thing. That's how it goes. Well, I studied, when I pursued my PhD, I was with Dr. Kiran Pandya, who took over Department of HR over there. He was an HOD over there. When I did my master's over there, sir, the building and scenario and the mechanism was different. And when this man came in set, he made the difference. I have witnessed it. You had everything in place. You had an excellent infrastructure in place. Not only in infrastructure, the the kind of atmosphere that any student would like to have. It was a modern school, sir. When I did way back in 1998, and the kind of condition it was, that's what the leader makes the difference. And he made it with so clean administration that everything was in place and nobody can pinpoint, even today. That is what I can give you a guarantee, sir. Even today. That kind of leadership is witnessing India today. Today, India is also witnessing the same kind of leadership and the kind of governance. Smriti Ben was showing the data. All this data, who makes this data? Who makes it? People. Okay. But who influences those data to emerge is a leader, is your mechanism. If your mechanism is good, it comes on. The changing of that, that's how we became the fifth economy of the world. It's not a small thing. That's how we became. But then, probably the leader brings people out of the allegory of cave. A small, example, allegory of cave. Allegory of cave is, there were few prisoners who were in one of the caves. They were since almost childhood. There was only one, kind of mashal which was shining there. So they were not knowing about anything about what was going outside. They were for years. One of the prisoners came out and he saw sunlight. he saw his own shadow. He saw tree. He saw nature, everything. And when he came inside, and he was behaving differently. So people were looking at him differently. यार ये पागल है. We all are okay. ये ऐसा क्या देख के आया बाहर? Okay, so we need to take care of him. But this guy realized that there was so much outside to see and realize probably India is on that phase now. We have so many things to do and show, but probably we were not doing it. And one leader has brought us to that platform. None other than our PM, Narendra Modi. That's how India has progressed. I will just tell you one, case study of what I have experienced myself, and this all through upbringing of leadership and truthfulness came out in all these 13-14 years when I attached to this man, Dr. Kiran Pandya. He showed me that if you have a conviction, if you are a clean image guy, nothing will stop you. Sir, in last, I'm working with the Dahej Industry Association since 10 years now. And I was also shadowed by some leaders which didn't allow things to happen. Believe me, the Dahej Industrial Estate is world's largest industrial estate, world's largest. And we were told that why are you not doing anything? With blessings of people like Dr. Kiran Pandya, the responsibility came to me 1.5 years back as a president of this estate. Sir, we took a big leap on transformation, and believe me, we have infused more than 1,000 crores in the estate to make the infrastructure congenial to the investment. More than 1,000 crores. Every year we would have got 300 crores all these 10 years. How much? 300 crores every year. By now, we would have 3,000 crores to have a world-class infrastructure. We were not able to do because we had policy paralysis and lack of leadership. There was no teamwork. So I have my own team now committed to this with all transparency and accountability in place. So we are the India's largest industrial estate now, and India's first smart industrial estate is going to be announced by end of this year, will be Dahej. India's first. We have more than 160 kilometers underground cabling, which is also the largest in India. You be the name of a flagship company of India, Reliance, Birla, LNG, Adani, Glenmark, BASF, Opal, ONGC, all are there. All are there. And sir, we have got more than 50 kilometers RCC internal road, which is also, I checked the data. I have those data in place. India's first industrial estate have got more than 50 kilometers of RCC roads. This all happens when you have an intention, when you have a conviction, and how you are nurtured makes a lot of difference actually. So I would say my nurturing has happened due to Dr. Kiran Pandya kind of people, and I have been trying to make that team so that the legacy continues with the development. So, to conclude it, leadership, governance and development, these three are interwoven. If you have a good leadership, it can administer your policies very well and put the governance in place. We have so many examples now. पहले गैस का सब्सिडी कैसे मिलता था? अभी आपके अकाउंट में मिलता है? इट कम्स टू योर अकाउंट नाउ, किसी को देना नहीं पड़ता. That is called a governance. That is called an intention of having a good governance. There are many such things. We all know. This has been simplified, digitized. And that is how the Gujarat Vikas model has emerged. Even today, Gujarat is FDI is one of the best in the country. Started in 2002, is still continuing. Believe me, any institution, if you have a good leader, a good mechanism of governance, it is going to get developed. That is what I wanted to tell you. Thank you so much for patient listening. Thank you. And last but not the least, on the basis of my PhD, with the help of Dr. Kiran Pandya, I have written a book on transformational leadership and governance, which is crisp of my 370 pages PhD thesis. So it is available online as well. You can go to Flipkart or Amazon and you can buy it. Thank you so much.
Sir, please stay here for a minute. I can stop myself to again give you a trouble, sir. Please come and felicitate, sir. Why I'm giving you a trouble? Just to make audience aware also, sir picked up each memento personally according to the interest of the speaker. So that's why I can't stop myself. Please, sir. Yeah, please.
Friends, you all must have heard about ease of doing business, right? Now, ease of doing business is nothing but, it's a subset of governance, right? So, for any development activities, whether it's for country or for any organization, the ease of doing things is very important. So, before, those who have followed the Indian election in 2014, see, we came up with the idea of governance much before the Prime Minister, talked about the governance. We, in fact, found out that this is the key that can bring about the change in the economy. So that is how we picked up. He had a very stray ideas, scattered ideas about many things. So then we just try to put it, try to organize those ideas and done some research, and then that is how this research has been done. But then, see, he was from industry. I'm from academics, so I have different professional and ethical standards. So, but then he did hard work, because I do not normally compromise with whatever things I do. Whether it's
Not
research.
normally, so you never.
So, but then he has put in hard work. This PhD will not fetch him a post of assistant professor or associate professor, or will get API. But then he essentially worked for more than 6 years, and now continues to work, revise his work and all this thing. So I feel extremely happy. And please, whatever my students say, please discount them, okay? Don't carry with a high image about me. I am also ordinary a person like all teachers. You are teachers, I am also teachers. It's just, I'm maybe 20, 30 years older to you, okay? Thank you for patient hearing, and I leave this platform to Dr. Kunal. because I'm also anxiously waiting for the announcement for lunch.
Yeah. Before that, just a few minutes, may I request Ms. Pragya Tripathi to offer a vote of thanks, please.
Thank you so much, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. We would like to express our gratitude to learned speakers, Dr. Sunil Bhatt, Dr. Smriti Bulsari. Dr. Sunil Bhatt spoke on leadership, governance, and development. His insightful session was very interesting. He has come up with the novel ideas which can be enhance our knowledge on leadership. We are very grateful to all of you. Dr. Smriti Vasari ma'am delivered a special occasion session on big data for business issues and challenges. Her session was very informative and engaging. It is commendable that she took the time to deliver session during her brief visit to India. Her dedication for sharing knowledge and inspiring others is truly admirable. Your unwavering commitment to your respective fields and your willingness to impart your wisdom has been truly inspiring. We are very grateful to you all for sparing your valuable time from your busy schedule. We are also appreciating our audience for their patience here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, the bus is waiting outside, just besides this Rinka gate. Okay, Rinka stairs. Okay, so that will take you to the lunch. Thank you very much. And presenters, you need to reassemble.